The murky circumstances that led to the most unusual transfer of the former director of the Central Bureau of Investigation, Alok Verma, has raised more questions than provided answers. These questions relate to the very institution of the Supreme Court of India, the highest court of the land. A quick recap of some of the important developments that have taken place. On the 10th of January, less than 48 hours after Alok Verma resumed charge as Director CBI on orders of the Supreme Court, a hastily convened meeting of a committee headed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Justice Arjun Kumar Sikri, who had been nominated to that position by the Chief Justice of India, Ranjan Gogoi, and the leader of the single largest party in opposition, that is the Indian National Congress, its representative Mallikarjun Kharge. They transferred Alok Verma by a verdict that was 2:1. Mr. Kharge opposed the decision of the other two, namely the Prime Minister and Justice Sikri. Mr. Alok Verma was transferred as Director General Fire Services, Civil Defence and Home Guards. He put in his papers less than 24 hours later. He said he had already superannuated from his post on the 17th of July and he was serving as Director CBI, the country's premier police investigating agency, on a fixed term. And that term was to get over on the 31st of Jan. Now, these questions are very, very important because they pertain to a report or a note submitted by a retired judge of the Supreme Court of India, Justice Ananga Kumar Patnaik. He had been appointed by the Chief Justice of India to supervise the inquiry that was being conducted by the Central Vigilance Commission, headed by the Central Vigilance Commissioner, K.V. Chaudhary, into this entire episode concerning Alok Verma and the allegations against him by his deputy Rakesh Asthana. Now, this is something that has never happened before. Now, Ravi Nair, who's writing a book on the Rafale deal, he wrote for this website, NewsClick. On the 12th of January 2019, Ravi wrote that in a telephone conversation from Gulbarga, Mallikarjun Kharge, the Congress leader, told him that he didn't get the documents that he wanted on the first day the meeting had been convened by the Prime Minister. The following day, the Central Vigilance Commissioner's report, with annexures running into 1,000 pages, were given to him. But it was without Alok Verma's reply to the CVC's report on the allegations levelled by Asthana and the report of Justice Patnaik. Importantly, I'm going to come back to this. Meanwhile, the web portal The Wire reported that K.V. Chaudhary, the CVC, had met Alok Verma and asked him to withdraw adverse comments that Mr. Verma had made against Mr. Rakesh Asthana in Mr. Asthana's annual confidential report. This is all on paper. Mr. Alok Verma's resignation letter said that the CVC's report was not endorsed by Justice Patnaik, who had been appointed by the Supreme Court to supervise the inquiry by the CVC. And this was reported by the Indian Express and subsequently others as well. The questions now, and this is very, very important. Ravi himself raised the question whether Justice Sikri read the report that had been submitted by Justice Patnaik. Did he notice the complaint made by Mr. Verma about Mr. K.V. Chaudhary visiting him and allegedly putting pressure on him? I have four questions, or four sets of questions, and these are very, very important questions. These concern the future of the Apex Court of India. Question number one. Under what circumstances and when did Justice Patnaik submit his note/report on the CVC inquiry into Alok Verma, presumably in a sealed cover. Question number 2. When did the Chief Justice of India, Ranjan Gogoi, share Justice Patnaik's report with his 2 brother judges on the Supreme Court bench? And these were Justice Sanjay Kishan Kaul and Justice K.M. Joseph. Did the Chief Justice of India, heading the bench that was hearing the Alok Verma case, did he submit this report on the day the judgment was reserved, which was the 6th of December 2019? Was it afterwards? When indeed did this report, was it shared by all the judges on the bench? The judgment itself came on the 8th of January 2019. The third set of questions are as follows. Was Justice Patnaik's note to the Supreme Court shown to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Justice Sikri? Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge has said he didn't go through that report. So this is the other set of questions. And the final question, and this is really concerns the Chief Justice of India, because the ball is now in his court. Who will he stand by? Will he stand by which of his brother judges, Justice Sikri or retired Justice Patnaik? Justice Sikri has withdrawn his acceptance of the government's offer to serve on the board of the London-based Commonwealth Secretariat Arbitral Tribunal, following a controversy. What was the controversy? It was suggested by the print website, an article written by Manish Chibba, that there was more to it than met the eye. People asked questions whether there was quid pro quo. Former Judge of the Supreme Court, Markandeya Kaju, has taken up cudgels on behalf of Justice Sikri, saying that, you cannot question Justice Sikri's credentials. People are writing about whether, when Justice Sikri ruled against the ruling regime in the Karnataka case, he was a good guy. When Justice Gogoi, a year ago, came out openly and criticized the Chief Justice of India, the then Chief Justice of India, Justice Deepak Mishra, the master of the roster, for the way he was constituting benches. Well, these are many more questions, but at the end of the day, who will Justice Ranjan Gogoi, the Chief Justice of India, stand by? Justice Sikri or retired Justice Patnaik? The answers to these questions will be very, very important, and the future of the working of the Indian judiciary and its relationship with the executive. Keep watching NewsClick for more updates on this very, very important issue.